Okay, I'd like to introduce our next keynote speaker is June Oscar, AO. June is a proud, and I don't know June, forgive me for this, woman from Fitzroy Crossing. She is CEO of Fitzroy Women's Resource Centre and a strong advocate for Indigenous languages, social justice, issues affecting women and children, and particularly in the area of the Foetal Alcohol Spectrum Disorder. June's campaigned effectively for alcohol restrictions in Fitzroy Crossing, and in 2011 was named one of the 50 most influential women in the world. Wow, how's that? In 2012, June was appointed Ambassador for Children and Young People, and in 2013 was awarded an Order of Australia. She received the Menzies School of Health Research Medallion in 2014 for her contributions to the lives of women and children. And her presentation is Learning Across Worlds, Nurturing Early Life Education and Care. Please welcome June Oscar.
Whew, well, here we go, following after Fiona Stanley. Good morning, everyone. Thanks, Geraldine, for the invitation to speak here today and for your introduction. Fiona, thank you for your life commitment in walking alongside of all of our peoples and giving your gift so generously to our children and our families. Ngai ni nyanjili, June Oscar, Dalbagbia, ngara danga na ulao ngai yanange. Wambarla. My name is June Oscar. I'm Nyanjili. My Bonobo name is Dalbagbia, and I speak to you in my language, Bonoba. Madawale nyaga dangarne bugayano ngaragananga moai ngaragayananga. I will share with you stories of children from my community and my mob. Firstly, I acknowledge the Noongar people of the land we meet on today, and I pay my respects to all of our children, our elders, and our families from all our nations, both past and present, and the many generations to come. I want to give full acknowledgement and thanks to SNAICC, the organisers and the sponsors of this event. You have all done an incredible job with organising such a huge event that has drawn people from right across this country and internationally to this Noongar country for this 6th SNAICC National Conference. Thank you so much. I also want to acknowledge my colleagues here with me this morning, Sarah Cleaves, the manager of our Bayagawi Bugayana Jandayanu Centre in Fitzroy Crossing, and Jenny Perkins, the West Australian Commissioner for Children and Young People, that I am privileged to be working alongside of as an ambassador for children and young people here in Western Australia. This presentation today is for our children, children of the Fitzroy Valley and beyond. In the Kimberley region of far north Western Australia, where I come from, children are quite literally our foundations. In the valley, 0 to 4-year-olds are our largest cohort by age. There are 700 to 800 young ones in a population which fluctuates from 3,000 to 4,500. They are our world today and into the future. Every child, no matter what skills or abilities, has the right to open their eyes to a positive and life-affirming world. This presentation offers my thoughts on how we here today can work together to ensure that our children will learn to grasp the opportunities that are the birthright of all Australian children. Just over a week ago, we celebrated the 3rd birthday of our Children and Family Centre, Bayagawi Bugayana Centre. And this is the name we have given it in Bunuba, my mother tongue, and the traditional country the centre is built upon. Bayagawi means the freshwater whipray. Bugayana means for all the children and their families. Our centre's structure takes the shape and form of the whipray, reflecting our community's determination and unfailing commitment to see a healthy and vibrant future for all of our little ones. This is their birthright, their right as a human being and citizen of Australia to have access to the highest quality of education and care. For us in the Fitzroy Valley, Bayagawi is our unique early years learning centre where our children's lifelong journey of discovery is fostered. It teaches them to become strong, like the whipray, who adapts to the changing dynamics and challenges of our wild Fitzroy River and grows to thrive within its surrounds despite the difficulties of navigating an often treacherous and unpredictable freshwater ecology. 3 is a significant age for our centre and children alike. Many of us here will know what 3 means in our developmental journey. International research testifies by the time we reach this tender age, our brains are 90% of our adult size. They are high functioning sponges ready to fully absorb their surrounds. At 3, children are acutely attuned to language, social interactions, relationships, changing behaviours, and the emergence of patterns. The world is coming into being for them at the same time as their character is being shaped by the environment's many influencing forces. As Aboriginal people, we have absolute belief in nurturing our young for lifelong understanding, not just rote learning. The stories that grew me up taught me how to listen and hear my surrounds so that I understood the need for a shared and intergenerational responsibility and mutual respect in sustaining our ecological and societal systems. My own upbringing was grounded in my mother and grandmother's customs, culture, language, and life ways. I now follow proudly in their footsteps as a strong Bunuba woman. Today, research and evidence clearly tells us that the experiences of early childhood have a profound impact on physical, mental, and spiritual health in later life, and Fiona went through this with us. We cannot control everything that happens throughout our early childhood, or indeed throughout life. However, as caring communities, what we must be able to provide are protective factors such as high-quality early years education that are culturally secure. We must deliver healing-informed, trauma-aware responses. We also want the best of what Western frameworks can offer our children and families without compromising who we are. We recognise that the shadows of trauma can influence subsequent generations. For those who are affected, we need to understand the impact and provide supports to equip individuals and families to heal. We cannot underestimate the total value of investing in early years learning. I'm sure that we all are in agreement that these years are the most formative in life. Baiagowie, like all of the children and family centres, embodies the fact that when we strengthen our children's minds and spirits, we increase the likelihood that they and generations to come will be able to make the most of life's opportunities. The model we designed for Baiagowie simultaneously reflects our past societal structures of cohesion and care and embraces contemporary forms of the highest quality of education. Baiagowie wraps a safe, caring, and therapeutic environment around our families by bringing people together across community settings and disciplines. We have formed multidisciplinary working groups with the informed expertise of health professionals, community organisations, community workers, and qualified early childhood educators. Together, we act as an incubator, feeding diverse resources and skills to our children and young people to foster their sense of personal and collective empowerment, well-being, and self-worth. Through this lens, we have had the courage to acknowledge the unprecedented levels of early life trauma that our children live with on a daily basis, and seriously assess the outcomes we want to achieve for them across their lives. We in the audience have common bonds, experiences and realities that come because of the nature of working in this field. However, there is also a huge variety of unique aspects that apply to each community and the services which support them. These include the cultures, languages, and histories of the people, as well as structural realities, such as the availability of particular services, geographies, family and clan affinities, and contemporary politics. The only way to effectively navigate this environment is by working directly with local communities in a collaborative approach. Listening to the research and work of Professor Chandler 2 days ago was absolute reaffirmation of this approach, an approach that our communities on the ground inherently understand. Professor Chandler's evidence gives us validation of the fundamental importance of cultural integrity, community strength, and identities of belonging. These are essential in constructing or reconstructing a healthy and vibrant society. In improving our life outcomes, and as we turn toward why early years education and care is so significant to our societies today, we have to consider carefully how best to incorporate this form of culturally and locally relevant and appropriate evidence. In standardised assessments, our children may be developmentally vulnerable, which is a strong indication that they will find it harder in life to access mainstream opportunities. However, in wanting to grow our children from positions of cultural strength, we cannot label them with deficits, predetermining a life of struggle. Here, with our range of expertise, we can develop a relevant framework of monitoring the lifelong successes of our early childhood programs to assess a child's growth against our societal understanding of well-being, to establish developmental indicators based on our cultural knowledge and learning, to understand what positive developmental outcomes look like for us on the ground. Under the policies of the last government, suggesting an adapted approach to how we evaluate the success of our programs against shared outcomes would not have been possible. In fact, the previous leadership's legacy has left us with a funding shortfall which threatens the closure of our doors at the developmentally vulnerable age of 3. So now, with this change in Liberal leadership, a very different policy discourse is emerging. It is clear that this government is serious about lifting outcomes in health, education, and employment to improve the economic stability of the nation. As we all know, early childhood is critical to building a stronger and more inclusive economy. For many here, this will be a well-versed piece of evidence. James Heckman, an esteemed Nobel laureate in economics, has proven, and I quote, "Every dollar invested in quality early childhood development for disadvantaged children produces a 7% to 10% return per child per year." End quote. So at this opportune point in time, when the evidence stands clearly before us, we need to be insistent that policymakers address not only the symptoms, but the root causes of where appalling life outcomes are emerging from. Early childhood education and care is about the blossoming of a child's mind so that they can learn. If the child is also exposed to traumatizing experiences, we should be able to embrace the child with all his or her needs. This is the strength of Indigenous services, which recognizes the whole person. We need to respond to the needs of our children now so that we can break the molds and the labels that describe us as dysfunctional people and societies. The crafters of policy need to be helped to understand and design policy that responds to reality rather than expecting the impossible. Our deep involvement from our lived realities is crucial to this process. To set this course of action, both the Indigenous social services sector and government need to acknowledge that we are in partnership. When either of us does not fully comprehend this reality, we quickly drift into often adversarial positions. I think of our early childhood services that are currently being suffocated by arbitrary decisions and totally inflexible compliance requirements. While we are expected to meet every compliance requirement, how do we ensure equal accountability on the part of governments? The time of governmental policies on the run and captain's calls are over, as Malcolm Turnbull characterised Tony Abbott's handling of significant national issues on Monday. The Indigenous Advancement Strategy is a perfect example of the Abbott government's quick fix policy, which led us to paralysis. It is clear that the new Prime Minister wants a new approach to policy making. This means a change to the way that all sectors operate with government. The social service sector is key to delivering what this government wants. As he said, and I quote, "a strong economy and a generous social welfare net." The time is now for us to unite and call for the federal government to bridge the policy shortfalls of the last leadership. A bridge that must see government reinstate with immediate effect the Children and Family Centres funds to previous operational levels. This will give us the time to work closely with the new government to plan for the sustained operations of our centres and guarantee access to the quality of education and care that our children deserve, that this nation deserves. This is our time to work collaboratively with this government as an equal partner across sectors and disciplines, to set a course of action that appreciates the social services as the platform to deliver impacting outcomes and ultimately a strong economy. With new leadership, we could be entering an era of exciting policy in the making, one that treats structural inequality as complex and acknowledges that solutions to social ills are locatable when we apply our breadth of knowledge and expertise from across government sectors and community settings. This would be a policy framework formed through an application of collective intelligence to the problems of disadvantage. In determining this course as the way ahead, together at this conference, we must put to the new government, how do we create a mechanism for genuine, respectful dialogue around best practice policy development and implementation for us as service providers and government as investors? We call upon this federal government to sit with us as co-designers in stabilising effective prevention strategies that will pave the way for social innovation in how we deliver truly impacting social services. We ask, if we could be so bold, the Ministry and the new Prime Minister to meet us and accept your roles as key players and collaborators in designing the future trajectory of our societal well-being and economic sustainability. We speak to this new government with absolute sincerity when we say your proposed trajectory offers us the opportunity to move forward. Adapting the Department of Social Services childcare assistance package to our needs gives us the starting point in designing an economically viable prevention platform. However, we cannot afford to wait until July 2017. We must act now. With you, and together, we must resolve the immediate funding shortfalls to early childhood education and care caused by the disaster of the Indigenous Advancement Strategy. The National Partnership Agreement on Indigenous Early Childhood Development gave us the opportunity to incorporate the best of both our worlds into our children's learning framework. Here today, we must seize this policy opportunity and build from all our past achievements, challenges, and mistakes. In sitting together, we can share our range of expertise and unique on-the-ground insights to elevate the policy discussion. Together, we can create a robust and effective policy framework that meets the needs of all Australian families, including those living in remote Indigenous Australia. We know that reworking this policy framework will be a challenge for us all, community and government alike, except we have the assurance of having the experience, expertise, and most importantly, the evidence to rise to the occasion. We can put this agenda to Malcolm Turnbull. In the spirit of how he is witnessing possibilities and positive change within the difficulties of a turbulent economic climate, we can do the same with reasserting the fundamental importance and exciting possibilities within early childhood learning and care. Today, we can combine compassion, economic sensibility, and sound evidence to provide Indigenous children with access to the same levels of services expected by other Australian children and families. When we act together, we will deliver a strong and flexible learning framework for our young generations, which responds to the on-the-ground needs of all of our people across Australia. One that will enable our children to access all of life's opportunities and build on their cultural foundations of strength to bring forth dynamic communities and a stronger nation for tomorrow. Thank you.
Could we once again thank June Oscar? I don't know about you guys, but I just thought that speech was just too deadly. I thought that, what you said about early child education and care services is just so very true. And that we do have, we run those services, we run them with compassion, and we do with what, as Fiona also stated, for our children to be healthy, our culture needs to be healthy, and we can do that, and we can apply that in our early education and care services. So thank you very much to both those speakers. They were great. Okay, before we all get up and leave, there are a few messages. So I hope that everyone's been utilising social media to spread the word about the vital work that SNAICC's been doing here and been talking about at this national conference. We want to continue that, so we want you to continue to harness the power of people on this last day. So we want to let Minister Scott Morrison and our new Prime Minister Malcolm Turnbull to make sure that they hear your voice. We're sending the following messages to the Minister Morrison and Prime Minister Turnbull. So we want to invest in Aboriginal and Torres Strait Islander kids, that they're safe in culture and not in care. So head over to the SNAICC Twitter and retweet the message or send it from your own account. And let's just make sure that they take notice. One of the things that I want to take, while I'm up here, I'm from Victoria. I'm the president of the Victorian Aboriginal Education Association of Victoria, and this year we're having a national conference, and it's being held in Melbourne on November 10th and 13th at the Pullman and Makura Hotel at Albert Park. So we're just asking you to just take some notices of our conference, and we hope that we'll see you there. I would now like to say to everyone knows the drill about what's been happening with the photographers, so that if you don't want your photos taken, please let people know. When you do know that there's going to be the films that have been running, and they'll continue today during lunch break, and they're in meeting room 8. And I would now just say to you all, enjoy your morning tea. Thank you. Yes?
Can you allow me to say something, please?
Oh, yeah? Yes? Who is it?
Everyone, before you go, when we're in these conferences and we're all talking about the care for our kids, just remember that a loved child will achieve and reach its full potential. An unloved child will not live at all. No life for an unloved child. It would be remiss of me. I'm an elder that was originally involved with SNAICC. And I remember Molly Dyer and her mother, Auntie Marge Tucker, when they talked about the need to establish SNAICC, and they did a lot of work in getting us all together. It was on the basis of us loving the child and making sure that everybody, in whatever they did, was that they loved that child, and that child would never be was never to be felt unloved. Doesn't matter whether it was your child or somebody else's child. I bet any money alike, all of you in this audience here, you've reached your potential. For why? Because you were loved by your parents and other people and your extended family. So let's please talk about love more when we're in our conferences and our workshops. I spend the rest of my life going around this country trying to get people to talk about, get back to the way Aboriginal people used to be. We used to get around the kitchen table and talk about all those things. Love was there. When colonisation came into this country, they kicked the love out of our families. They kicked love out of our families, and we've just got to get it back. We've got to turn colonisation around and get back what we've got, but we've got to start with love. That's it. Thanks, Geraldine.
Thank you, Brian.